Okay, today in this video we will learn about the colon-chyma and sclerenchyma. So in continuation of last video, in the last video we had a discussion about the parenchyma, next followed by colon-chyma and sclerenchyma. So now first one is colon-chyma. So colon-chyma is in a living tissue. It is in a living tissue. So here all the cells are more or less elongated with thick primary non-lignified walls. All the cells are living cells with more or less elongated cells with thick primary non-lignified walls. Okay. Generally, this colon-chyma occur in the peripheral positions like in between means in between the epidermis, in the stems, leaves, floral parts, fruits and roots. Also generally we will see this just above the vascular bundles sometimes, just sometimes below the ridges or sometimes furrows, but these colon-chyma generally derived from the apical meristem and cortical colon-chyma and procambium. So here the cells are living cells with vacuolated protoplast. The cells are having a protoplast with vacuoles. Okay, so sometimes which may have chloroplast. Okay, most distinctive character of colon-chyma cell is cell wall is which become unevenly thickened. So the cell wall is having a uneven thickening. This is very important character. Just remember. Okay. So here different types of cell wall depositions we will see in this colon-chyma. Okay. So mostly the cell wall thickenings are confined to corners of the cells. Corners of the cells. The cell wall is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin materials. Pectin materials. Okay. The amount of pectin and hemicellulose in the cell wall is high while compared to this cellulose. Okay, based on the cell wall thickenings, on the basis of this thickenings of cell wall and arrangement of cells, there are three main types of colon-chyma we will see in the plants. Three types of colon-chyma. So they are angular colon-chyma, lacular or laculate colon-chyma. So third one is plate colon-chyma or lamellar colon-chyma. So this is purely based on the thickenings of the cell wall and arrangement of cells. Arrangement of cells. See here, if you observe the diagram, these are the three different types of colon-chyma. First one is, this one is a angular colon-chyma. So second one is laculate or lacular. Third one is lamellar. These are the three diagrams. So when we observe the diagram, they are showing cell wall thickenings. Here, this is entire the black dark parted area is cell wall thickenings. Here, this is also cell wall thickening. Here also thickenings. Okay. So we will see one by one. We will see one by one. First, we will take angular colon-chyma. So this is the most common type of collenchyma, where the cell wall depositions, cell wall thickenings are localized at the main corners or at the angles. See, at the corners or at the angles, particularly where two cells are united. Okay. So this is a very important point. Just to remember, the name itself shows that angular means thickenings. Generally, you will find the thickenings at angular positions or at the corners. This is the first identification character. Okay. So second one is the cells of this type of collenchyma are compact and irregularly arranged. They are compact in nature and irregularly arranged. Okay, the classification is purely based on the thickening and mode of arrangement of cells. Okay, thickening is at the corners and or at angle side. So arrangement is irregular arrangement. Okay, so this type of collenchyma is found in the stem of datura. These are the few examples. Just remember 2 or 3 examples. So one is datura. I mean, second one is dahlia, cucurbita. Okay, cucurbitaceae members. Next to Solanum tuberosum. Okay, Atropa belladonna plant. Okay, and in the petioles of leaves of vitis means grapes. Okay, Begonia, Coleus. These are the morus means mulberry. These are the few examples. At least you have to remember 3 or 4 examples. So only 3 points. First point is where the thickenings are found, how the cells are arranged, and what are the examples and diagram. This is the diagram. Okay. So this is about the angular collenchyma. Next one is second one. Second one is lacunor or lacunate, or sometimes called tubular collenchyma. Tubular collenchyma. See, this is the second type of collenchyma. Here, the thickenings are restricted to the walls of the region bordering air spaces. Air spaces means here there are some intracellular spaces. Okay, intracellular spaces. The thickenings are restricted to the walls of the regions. Thickenings generally restricted means they are appear at the intracellular space facing part of the cell. Okay, so here just you observe this one. Here just you see this one. These are the gaps. These are the gaps. See, this is a, so where intracellular spaces are there. Here intracellular spaces. This is an intracellular space. Clear? This intracellular space. Okay. So here the thickenings are restricted to these walls of this region of bordering air spaces or intracellular spaces. Okay. So here there is a large intracellular spaces, thickenings are found here, and which is also called as tubular collenchyma. Generally, we found this type of collenchyma in petioles of salvia. These are the examples: salvia, malva means malvaceae member, althea rosea, and also aerial roots of monstera. One more example, aerial roots of monstera. So just you remember these four examples. And next, third, last one is plate collenchyma or lamellar collenchyma. Here, the cells are arranged very close, means compactly arranged without any intracellular spaces. See, so these are the cells. There is no intracellular spaces. This is the first row, this is second row, this is third row. There is no gap. Second character is the thickenings are occur chiefly on the tangential walls. Here see, on the tangential walls or sometimes lesser in the radial walls also. Mainly the thickenings, you will see the thickenings. Here this is the tangential walls. More thickenings in tangential walls and sometimes very small means less thickenings in radial walls. This is the condition you remember. But there is no intracellular spaces. Cells are arranged very close, compactly arranged. Okay, thickenings in tangential walls. Okay, as a result, they appear like a plate. They appear like a band, one by one. Band or lamella, one over the other, one over the other. Okay, so this type of collenchyma we will see in the tissues of stem of Sambucus nigra, okay, and Rhamnus, and also in the petiole of Cochlearia aromarica. So these are the three examples. So just you remember here. Okay, these are the three types of collenchyma. Next one is what are the functions of collenchyma. So generally collenchyma cells or tissue gives a mechanical strength or mechanical rigidity to the growing plant organs, which give a mechanical strength. Also it is also called as a mechanical tissue. Okay, which is used means useful for considerable elasticity for the plant parts, and so it provide a tensile strength to the growing organs. Okay, then plant parts become flexible, also showing a plasticity. Also they showing a plasticity. They provide support when they occur on both sides of bundles, vascular bundles. Okay, sometimes they protect the vascular bundles of leaves by forming a cap or a sheath, bundle sheath like protective structure. Okay, so also they perform photosynthesis if they possess chloroplast. So these are the functions of this mechanical tissue or this collenchyma. Clear? Next one is next permanent tissue is sclerenchyma. So here sclerenchyma is a simple tissue. It is also having possess a mechanical function. The word sclerenchyma, sclerus means very hard. It means the name sclerus means hard. enchyma means infusion. Okay. So the basic difference is with collenchyma is a living mechanical tissue, but while this sclerenchyma is a non-living mechanical tissue. This is a non-living mechanical tissue, and which possess a thick-walled lignified pitted cell wall without any protoplasm at maturity. The cells does not contain any protoplasm. Okay, so these are all dead cells. They're all empty, dead cell without any protoplasm. Without any protoplasm. So cell wall is thickened. Clear? And they possess pits. They possess pits. Okay, we'll see the types of pits and role of pit in the coming slides. There are some gaps here, pits. Okay, so next one is here it is a completely a dead tissue. Okay, cells are elongated and pointed at both the ends like this. Cells are elongated and pointed at both the ends. Okay, so thick and lignified cell wall, a lack of protoplasm, okay, which gives strength and rigidity to the plant body, because it is also a mechanical tissue, so which give a strength as well as rigidity to the plant parts. Okay, generally this sclerenchyma is distributed in the cortex or in the form of hypodermis, or also we can see in the vascular region of stem or leaves, or in the fruit wall, or in the seed coat. Okay, because it is in a very hard material, it's a hard tissue. So this is about the sclerenchyma. Clear? So if you see the, I mean, classification of sclerenchyma, so on the basis of their position in the plant body, the sclerenchyma cells, sclerenchyma tissue, based on the position in the plant body, so generally they are classified into sclerites and fibers. Sclerites and fibers. So here there is the position and structure, origin, and also development. If you see all these things, they show a lot of variation. So they also play a key role in this classification. They also play a key role, not only position, but also it's a structure, structural variation, a mode of origin, and mode of development. So based on these sclerenchyma grouped into two categories. One is sclerites, second one is fibers. Okay, so now we will see the sclerites. So the sclerites also commonly called as a stone cells, commonly called as a stone cells. Clear? It is also a stone cells. or sclerotic cells. Sclerotic cells. Okay. So now we will see one by one. Again, these scleroids or stone cells are classified into different types. So this classification is purely based on their size of the cell, shape of the cell, nature of cell wall, and mode of deposition of secondary wall materials. Please remember, this classification is purely based on the one is size of the cell wall, size of the cell, shape of the cell, nature of the cell wall, and deposition of secondary wall materials. Okay, so based on these characters, they are categorized into basically these types. So here these scleroids are thick walled, there is no doubt. They are thick walled with different shapes, and also possess some simple pits in their cell wall. Okay, so first one is brachyscleroids. So brachyscleroids are also called as a stone cells. So they are more or less isodiametric in nature and very resemble in parenchyma cells. Okay, and also having very hard cell wall. They are also called as a grit cells or the gritty texture of nature. Okay, so we will see this type of brachyscleroids in cortex or in the pith or else in the phloem of the stem, or also a fleshy uh, fruit coat. For example, fresh means a fleshy fruit coat of pyrus. Example for phloem is phloem of Hoya, cinnamomum stem bark, and also Alstonia bark. You will see this brachyscleroids in these stems, barks, and fleshy fruits. They are also known as stone cells or hard wall cells. Okay, they are very more or less isodiametric in structure. Okay, you'll see this structure here. Okay, this is the structure. The next one is macroscleroids. So here macro means very big. They are very elongated, rod shape. See, if you see the structure, you see very long, elongated, rod shaped structure. So generally, which we can commonly found in the palisade tissue, and also a seed coat of legume seeds, seed coat of several leguminous seeds. Leguminous seeds means some pulses like Pisum sativum, peanut, Fasciolus mungo or Fasciolus oreo means green gram, black gram. So these are all leguminous family members. So these are very common in the seed coat, that is testa. Seed coat is also known as testa. Okay, this is the second one. And the third one is Osteosclerites. Osteo means bone. The shape of the sclerites is like a bone or a barrel shape. See, this is a bone shape, okay, or barrel shape. So with dilated ends, like means some different types of shapes. Purely, it is a osteosclerite. Generally, you will see in the seed coats of Pisum and also leaves of Hakia. So just these are the examples. Next one is ostrosclerites. Ostrosclerites means they are star shaped. They are stellate cells. Okay, they are deeply lobed or branched in their structure. They resemble to star. See, their structure is very close to the stars, resemble to the stars. Deeply lobed and branched cells. Okay, best example for this is nymphia petiole, and tea leaves of thea. Thea means tea, and also leaves of olea. Okay, next one is trichosclerites. So trichosclerites means they are hair-like. So they are hair-like branched or unbranched sclerites. So found in the intracellular spaces of leaves. Okay, so they are very much elongated, branched, hair-like. Generally, we will see in the intracellular spaces of leaves of olea, leaves of nymphia, aerial roots of monstera. So these are the different types of scleroids and their character and their structure, diagrammatic representations. I think it is clear. Okay, this is about the sclerites. So next one is the fibers. Next one is fibers. Here, if you see the fibers are thick-walled, long, elongated, pointed needle-like ends. So if you see the structure, so they are thick-walled, clear, very long, elongated, and pointed ends. Okay. So the cell wall contain a simple or bordered pits. Simple pits or border pits. Here, see, there is a simple pit. Here also there is a gap. Okay. So generally, these fibers means which give a mechanical support. There is no doubt at all. But basically, these fibers are two types. So xylary means xylem fibers, extraxillary fibers. So this classification is purely based on the position of these fiber cells in the plant body. So first one is xylary fiber. Xylary fibers means intraxillary. So second one is extraxillary. Xylary means within the xylem. Xylem cells having a possess a fibers, xylary fibers. Extra cell means other than xylem. Other than xylem means it may be a cortex, it may be a pericycle, okay, or it may be a phloem. Okay, if it is a phloem fibers. If it is a cortex cortical fiber. If the fibers found in a periphery of vascular cylinder, that is perivascular fibers. Okay, just where they are located. If the fiber cells are found in cortex, that is cortical fibers. If they are found in phloem, phloem fibers. If they are found in some periphery of vascular cylinder, that is perivascular fibers. Okay. So this is the definition of fiber and classification of fibers. So for example, we'll see one by one. First one is xylem fibers. So these are also called as a wood fibers. Xylem fibers also called as wood fibers. So here generally these wood fibers having a different size, different shape, different thickness. Okay. So on the basis of relative thickness of their cell wall and type of pit, means very simple pit or a bordered pit. Okay. These xylem fibers are subdivided into libriform fibers and fiber tracheids. One is libriform fibers. Second one is, fiber tracheids. Fiber tracheids. Clear? Xylem fibers are again classified into libriform and fiber tracheids. The libriform fibers are characterized by very thick secondary wall and simple pit. Thick secondary wall and simple pit is character. So while the fiber tracheids are thin cell wall, clear, and bordered pit. Here the pits are bordered pits. This is the basic difference. Cell wall is very thick and simple pits. Cell wall is very thin and bordered pit. Okay. So just remember, in certain dicotyledonous plants, gelatinous or some mucilaginous fibers also found, which are also auxiliary fibers, which are especially a great capacity of water absorption. Such fibers are having more alpha cellulose in their secondary walls than lignin. So this is also come under xylem fibers. So xylem fibers, also known as wood fibers, okay, they are classified into again two types: libriform fibers and fiber tracheids, and also the third one is gelatinous or mucilaginous fibers. Second one is extraxillary fibers. So these fibers are found outside the xylem. Extraxillary fibers found outside the xylem. Outside the xylem means such as cortex or pericycle or phloem. So these extraxillary fibers also called as bast, also called as bast fibers. Xillary fibers are wood fibers. Extraxillary or phloem fibers are called bast fibers. There are again three types. One is cortical fibers found in cortex, perivascular fibers found on the periphery of vascular cylinder. Third one is phloem fibers, which found in phloem. Okay. So there are few examples for this extraxillary fibers. Okay. Most common example is hemp. HEMP, hemp fibers. Hemp fiber, best example is Cannabis sativa. Scientific name of plant is Cannabis sativa, that is called ganja. So the fiber which we are obtained from cannabis is hemp, and the second one is flax fibers. So name of the plant is Linum usitatissimum. Okay, this is a very long, heavy cellulose contained fiber which we can found in this hemp or in the in the flax, that is Linum usitatissimum. Okay, these fibers are economically very important, commercially uses for human welfare. Okay, few more examples also there, that is Manila hemp. Example is Musa, textilis. The fiber which we are obtained from Musa textile is called Manila hemp. And also jute. We are obtaining the jute from Carchorus capsularis. Name of the plant is Carchorus capsularis. So this is fiber is nothing but a jute fiber. Just remember these names: jute from Carchorus capsularis, hemp from Cannabis sativa, flax from Linum usitatissimum, and hemp, Manila hemp from Musa textilis. These are all commercially very useful. Clear? The next one is, this is the fiber, scleroids. Fibers functions. Sclerenchyma or fiber or scleroids, whatever it is, this purely which will give a support to the plant, mechanical support to the plant. So this is about the collenchyma and sclerenchyma.